Welcome everyone to a brand new series right here on The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us. Today, we're kicking off a really fascinating journey into the human mind, specifically zooming in on phobias. Over the course of this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly what they are, dig into their root causes, explore those intense physical symptoms they trigger, and most importantly, look at how they can be treated. If you've ever wondered why the brain reacts the way it does to certain fears, you are in the perfect place. So, picture this highly specific scenario for a second. You step into a perfectly safe, completely normal elevator. The door slides shut. Suddenly, your heart starts pounding out of your chest at a terrifying speed. You feel completely out of breath, your hands start shaking uncontrollably, and this heavy sense of impending doom just washes over you. You literally feel like something terrible is about to happen, even though, logically, you know that elevator is totally secure. So why does this happen? Is this just a natural, everyday fear? Or are we looking at a clinical phobia? Well, that's exactly the mystery we're going to solve today. Let's dive right in. Here is our quick roadmap for today. First, what is a phobia? Second, fear versus phobia. Third, the physical impact on the body. Fourth, the causes of phobias. And fifth, treatments and facts. All right, Section 1. What is a phobia? A phobia is definitely not just a mild dislike. It's an extreme, intense, and frankly unusual fear that's tied to a very specific object, place, or situation. The real kicker here? This intense fear is completely out of proportion to the actual danger. The thing you're terrified of might not be dangerous at all, but your brain is reacting as if it's literally a life or death scenario. To put that into perspective, let's use heights as an example. Feeling a slight sense of vertigo or getting a little woozy when you're physically standing at the edge of a massive drop? That is a perfectly normal human reaction. It makes sense. But a phobic reaction is entirely different. That's when merely looking at a photograph of a tall building triggers an absolute panic attack, complete with a racing heart and overwhelming anxiety. That photo poses zero physical danger, right? Yet the body's reaction is extreme. Moving on to Section 2, fear versus phobia. It's super fascinating to look at the evolutionary purpose of this. Normal fear is our body's built-in defense system. If you suddenly come face-to-face with a dangerous wild animal, fear is exactly what you want. It's a healthy response that helps you survive by telling you to run or fight. But a phobia? That is essentially your brain's alarm system malfunctioning. It's a false alarm. The brain mistakenly flags completely harmless things, like a tiny spider, an everyday elevator, getting an injection, or even just speaking in public, as deadly immediate threats. Which brings us to Section 3, the physical impact. Let's break down the biological domino effect that happens in literally a fraction of a second. Step 1, the trigger. Say the person steps into that elevator. Step 2, a specific part of the brain instantly sounds the alarm, completely bypassing all logic and reason. And step 3, boom, the body is immediately flooded with adrenaline. You can't consciously control this. It's an automatic chemical flood, prepping your body for a literal war that isn't even happening. And man, the physical toll of that adrenaline rush is immense. Because of that chemical flood, your heart rate skyrockets. You might experience severe breathlessness. You start sweating buckets, and your hands and feet just shake uncontrollably. Imagine experiencing all those intense physical symptoms of mortal danger, being completely convinced you're under threat while just sitting in a perfectly safe, brightly lit room. That is the exhausting, everyday reality of a phobia. So why does this happen? Let's look at Section 4, causes of phobias. Science tells us there isn't just one single magic reason a phobia develops. It's honestly a lot like a giant puzzle. For some folks, it stems from a bad experience or trauma during childhood. For others, it's actually learned behavior. Like maybe you watched a parent freak out over something and your brain just absorbed that fear. Genetics can play a huge role too, predisposing certain people to anxiety. And finally, it might just come down to how an individual's unique brain is wired to handle stress. Every single person's root cause is totally unique to them. Finally, let's get into Section 5, treatments and facts. The really great news here is that most phobias are highly treatable. Psychologists rely on these amazing tools like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and exposure therapy. Through these guided methods, professionals help people slowly, safely, and systematically rewire their brain's response to the trigger. They're essentially teaching that faulty alarm system to just power down. Sometimes doctors might also prescribe medication to help manage the anxiety. But the biggest takeaway you should have from this is that people really can and absolutely do overcome these fears. Before we wrap up, I want you to chew on this mind-boggling fact. Did you know there are over 500 officially named phobias in the world today? 500! Some are incredibly common, like the fear of heights or enclosed spaces, but others are so incredibly bizarre and specific, you'd be amazed just hearing about them. The sheer variety here really just proves how wildly complex the human brain is. And that brings us to the end of today's deep dive. But hey, this is just the beginning of our series. I want you to reflect on what we've learned today, and I want to hear from you. Which specific phobia should we uncover in our next explainer? Drop your thoughts, because next time, we are going to be tackling one of the most famous and widespread phobias on the planet, arachnophobia, the intense fear of spiders. You definitely won't want to miss it. Thank you so much for hanging out and exploring the fascinating world of the human mind with me. See you in the next explainer.